I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. The skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I am your host, Wayne, joined as always by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. What's up, man?
Hey. I am so happy to be here. We were just here at this time last night.
We were hanging out with a bunch of PO freaks.
That's right.
How was your day? What have you done since the last time I saw you? Did you travel? What happened?
Oh, me and Carrie, and everybody on here can absolutely relate. If you leave your house, you are going to spend at least $150. So we try not to leave the house, but we left the house today. So,
well, hell.
I know, we went to Five Below, then we went to Barnes & Noble, and I got to get something at Barnes & Noble, so me and Carrie got something there. Then we went to Ollie's and got our whole new bathroom set. Yeah, and I was like counting the money. Oh, and then we had to go get coffee and lunch.
Yeah. Do you like Ollie's?
I do.
I don't know how I feel about it. We got one here. What about Gabe's? Do you have a Gabe's?
Yes, I try to stay away from Gabe's because, honey, I get in so much trouble in Gabe's because I'm like, oh, look, this is cute, and it's only $7.99. We'll just put this in the
and then 14 more of those $7.99s add up. But, I mean, you can find some deals.
Yes, you can.
I bought a pair, and if they would have had more, I would have gotten them. A pair of Rock Revival jeans for $20.
Yeah.
Those are $200 jeans.
Yeah.
And they're real.
Right?
I don't know how they do it.
I don't know. Some bargaining techniques in there somewhere.
I've been back in there several times and I can't find them.
Oh, really?
Again, I would buy every pair they have for $20. I mean, they're literally $200 jeans.
Yeah.
And I got $20.
You could look online. Gabe's.com.
I don't even wear jeans.
Then why do you want them?
Because they're $200 jeans.
God, you sound like me.
Duh.
It's on sale.
I'm a label whore. I'm telling you, man.
I'm not a label whore, but I'm a sale whore.
These some apple bottom jeans. Boots with the fur?
Yes, with the fur.
Whole club looking at me.
Yes. Yeah. I try not to go any. No, I get in so much trouble in Gabe's.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool store. That's where I buy all my like boxers and stuff. they have good deals. I mean, they really
But
do.
it really
Undershirts,
is.
boxers, stuff like that. That's where I get all that stuff.
That's where I get all my shoes, purses. Yeah, I don't need to go. I'm cleaning everything now.
I don't know about the food and stuff they sell. I ain't trying to do that.
Well, it's kind of like when I worked at Belk and we sold those little the little popcorn snack treats, and like they went like hotcakes. People buy them online. I mean, I was packing them in box after box after box to ship out. But I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like stuff that's out of date or about to go out of date, maybe.
Well, ours was in date, but I mean, Belk's a department store. That's where I have this jacket and this shirt, these earrings.
Food.
I just couldn't buy food from a department store.
I get you. I'm with you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm glad.
Let's pay some bills. You want to?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that is hanging out with us tonight, if you are new, we are so happy to have you. Thank you for spending your Saturday night with us. Do us a favor, though. Before you leave, please hit that subscribe button to help Tiffany and I continue to grow the show.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and I, you can reach out to both of us, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. And we really want to be a place where you feel safe. It's judgment-free, just to come on. We want to be the avenue to get your voice out there and get your encounter out there. And we can do that if you send us an email.
Very good. Also, head over to paranormalworldproductions.com. Check out our website. And have a look at all the other podcasts under the studio umbrella. Pick up some merch. Sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter. All of that really cool stuff. Brian has done a really good job over there at paranormalworldproductions.com.
And currently on paranormalworldproductions.com, you can get his book. Yeah. If you want it autographed, you can get it there. Like, I got mine autographed. Pretty cool. So you can get that on paranormalworldproductions.com as well. There's a couple lines in the top right. Click that, go to the store. It's all in there.
Very good. Now, do you remember what else you're supposed to talk about?
I do. Are you going to put them up there? Wait.
No, we got to finish paying these bills. You got off track. Look how professional we are.
It's Saturday. If you have any questions for tonight's guest, please put them in all capital letters. We highlight them throughout the show. And at the end of the show, we do a rapid fire Q&A. And I can get them up there if you put them in all capital letters.
Also, I want to talk a little bit about my organization, Manimal Research. We have a new website that Miss Chris Blaylock has built for us and is up and running. Head over to manimalresearch.org. Check it out. See a little bit about what we stand for, what we do, some of the outings that we've been on, evidence we've collected. If you are having issues or concerns on your property, think you might have Bigfoot, Sasquatch activity, we would love to be the ones that you call to come and check that out. But head over to manimalresearch.org. Also, if you want to join us and get out there and do your own investigations and get in on our group outings, campouts, we got one coming up at the LBL next month. Get the information to do that over at manimalresearch.org.
Yep.
Are you going to tell them about the membership?
Yes, the membership. And Wayne, I'd sent you one thing. I think it was pretty funny. I don't know if it'll go in the giveaway or not, but we are doing a February free-for-all giveaway the whole month this month. So if you are not a member and you join, and even if you are a member, we're going to get your name in a hat at the end of this month and draw, and you will win the wonderful prizes that we pick out. So it's only $1.99. It's not going to break the bank. It's less than a soda pop. You have members Discord. Members only. We had one last night. Super fun just to get in here and shoot the shit and hang out. It's just $1.99.
And somebody got in right off the bat.
Yes, and I already have her name
Welcome,
written down.
Marty. Miss Nana Boss became a member just today. We appreciate that, ma'am. So you are going to be added to the drawing to win the prizes. And we haven't decided completely on what the prizes will be, but there will be prizes. Someone will win, and we'll set all that up for you.
Yes, it's exciting. I love giveaways.
Due to
They make me happy, Jack.
Also, guys, lastly, before we get to our guest that is waiting patiently backstage, you guys see the bottom down there scrolling. That is the Cash App and the Venmo. You guys have been helping us out that way. Instead of doing the super stickers, if you'd rather do the super stickers, that's perfectly fine. We just give you that option because YouTube likes their fees. They take a lot of them. And we feel like we need the money more than they do.
We do.
And instead of having to wait a month to get them, we get it right away. And again, the fees, $1 or $2 versus almost half of what you guys send us.
Yeah.
So if you could help us out that way, we would certainly appreciate it. None of this stuff is free. Even, what you're watching us on tonight, StreamYard, I pay monthly, $60 a month. I pay for StreamYard, and it keeps going up. When I started, it was $30, but I pay $60 a month just to have this platform to give you guys the shows that we do. So nothing's free, guys, and it helps us out. If you can do that, we appreciate it.
And just if you happen to be scrolling through the chat, I love Bristol to death, okay, but I have pants on. They're just not my Mickey Mouse pajamas. They're jeans.
What is he saying? You're going commando from waist down? I mean, commando?
No,
What?
sir. No, sir.
Is that
No,
what he's
sir.
claiming? I mean,
Yeah,
I've
he
already
said-
seen you stand up. I know you got britches on.
He said, all us Discord peeps know that Tiff is not wearing anything from the waist down. Oh, you gotta do. This is not my Mickey Mouse.
All right. All of that up out the way. Talk a little bit about our guest. Miss Casey Miller is waiting very patiently backstage. She has been on a couple of times. She is in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. And I'm so jealous because I've told y'all, Oregon is on my bucket list. I don't have a very impressive bucket list, y'all. I'm not that extravagant, but I do want to get out to the Pacific Northwest. And there's just something about Oregon that just seems really cool to me. And I want to visit it before I die. So I'm jealous that she gets to live there all the time. But she has been experiencing stuff with the Sasquatch, Bigfoot her entire life. A really cool lady. And happy to have her. So unless you have anything else, we're going to go ahead and bring her out.
I don't. This is the second time she was on with us when I very first started with you. I think it was a couple episodes into my tenure with you. So it'll be cool to have her on again.
Yes, ma'am. Let's go ahead and get her out. Casey, what's up, ma'am?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
How
Thanks
are
for
you?
listening to our rambling.
How are you doing this evening? What's going on in Oregon?
Well, it's a nice rainy day, and looking forward to possibly seeing some snow here on the valley floor, and always excited about that. I love the snow.
Now, do y'all get a lot of rain? Because we all know, like Washington, Seattle, the north of you guys, it rains all the time up there. Is it the same with you guys?
Southern Oregon is a little bit different than like the rest of the region. I think that it's fairly temperate on the coast, but it rains a lot, and down here it's kind of like the last week and a half it's been clear blue skies but freezing colds, frosty freezing, but it's really mild winter. And
No, Lori Gibbs says Oregon is odd and quirky, but we love it.
Yeah. We Oregon is very much has its own weather pattern. Okay, it's like I can't answer that question very well. If we were on the coast, I'd be like, yeah. So this is the weather forecast. It's gonna be, cloudy with a chance of rain.
Yeah, do y'all get a lot of snow?
Down here in Southern Oregon, yeah, just a few miles up from where I live, it's snowy all winter. But right here in the valley, I'm at like 2,000 feet. So, a few times a year we'll get a couple inches and it's really fun, get your snow day or whatever. And then back to rain or freezing and sunshine.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead at this time and jump into why everybody's here to hear the Bigfoot stuff. You have been experiencing stuff for a long time. You want to just start at the beginning and just the first thing that happened, what piqued your interest, or just what happened?
Yeah. So, since I was a really young child, I've had experiences in dream state. So like over the years I've I've just started calling myself a dream seer. So when I go to sleep at night, I kind of go into different worlds and places and I go on an adventure. So I remember being like 7 years old, being like my first real experience where I went to sleep and I dreamt of something really personal in my family. And I was just so young, I didn't really understand. And then as I got older and I started realizing that I wasn't seeing like things in the future, but sometimes past things or things that were happening that I wasn't seeing, in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then something would be happening that I can't see, but I would dream it. And so it's like, you really can't hide anything from me. So I'm like, if I'm supposed to see it, I'm going to see it. So I started having really intense dreams and seeing like past people that have passed away and like are like maybe my past lives, or I don't really know but as I got older, I was seeing like animals, like I would see spiders a lot in my dreams, or like if I see a spirit and have a conversation with a spirit, sometimes I'll see a little cute kitten first, or like a puppy, or I don't know, some kind of animal. I see snakes a lot, spiders, and I never really knew what was going on. And then I remember being like, I don't know, 10 years old, and I had a dream. I have a sister that's 3 years younger than me, and she struggles with addiction. And when I was like 10, I dreamt of her. I mean, I saw her like doing drugs and using needles and stuff. And, this is before I knew what drugs were or anything.
Yeah.
Seeing something like that, as a little child, and then growing up and having to live that and see that in my sister was really hard. But it's kind of stuff like that
That's weird. That's weird because like you said, you were 10 years old. And at 10, most of us don't know what drugs are. You didn't know what a needle hanging out of someone's arm would be, but you saw that at such a young age. I don't know what that means,
Yeah, and I never knew if it meant that I was like, being prepared for the future. Like, I never knew. Well, I just thought of it as a dream. And then I got older and I started all these things that I was dreaming when I was a child started happening. And I'm like, these are things that I was always really scared of and, happening. And so here we are. And these are things that I deal with. I mean, and I could go on and on.
Yeah. Well, how does this, the dreaming and the seeing things, how How does that eventually lead you into Bigfoot?
So let's see, when was the first? So when I was young, my brothers and sister and I, we grew up in the rainforest off of the Central Oregon coast, right outside the Siletz Indian Reservation, and we started having activity on the property that my dad would dismiss as or freak us out and say like, oh, there's a man on the property stalking us, and scare the crap out of me and my sister, like somebody's watching you in your window, like. And so I was like, oh, whoa. And so I remember my sister had a slumber party one time, and she had some gals over. Gosh, we were like, so she was about 10 at the time. And we had in our front door, we had these like 3 little windows. There was like 3 diagonally in the door. And the girls were freaking out, running for my dad, saying that they saw a face in the window. And it was, I think, this girl, Tiffany Crummell, that I know. So anyway, I remember my dad running outside in his undies with his shotgun, screaming, and like he was really angry. And then I remember not even too long after that, that's when he saw the man in the ghillie suit sitting in the bushes, watching him. And I was like, a man in a ghillie suit? That's really scary, because that means they might be like hiding in the trees and looking at us. And my dad's thinking it's some like redneck tweakers in the trees or something. And I'm like, that's like some extreme stuff.
Yeah. And didn't he say he had like night vision goggles on or something?
Oh yeah. He said he had night vision goggles on, and I asked him, why would you think that he had night vision goggles on? Mind you, this is like 1994. And he goes, well, he had red eyes. And then another time he told me, I saw it walking through the field, and there's no way that any man could walk through the field like that, as dark as it was, unless they were wearing some kind of night vision goggles. And I was like, dude, really? I'm like in my 40s now. And so I'm telling my dad, like, McFly, really?
We had you on over a year ago, and that story has always stood out to me because he would rather, your dad, bless his heart, would rationalize this in his head as a man in a ghillie suit wearing night vision goggles. He would rather that be the case than it be a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yep. He was very much like, it snowed one time, and it was like, I don't know, like a half an inch of snow, like over there on the coast. It doesn't snow very often. So we got like a half an inch or something. I don't know. And there was footprints out in the back, and my dad was telling my mom, he was obviously freaking out. And then he was like, whoever's foot that was sure had a big foot. And I was thinking it must have melted the edges, or else he would have been like, and barefoot. So because the, snow will fall on the floor there, but it'll melt really quickly. So, and this was sometime, after they had woken up or whatever. So
So a man, okay, so let's just clarify. We got a man on your property that's wearing a ghillie suit and night vision goggles. He has a huge foot, and he doesn't bother with wearing shoes.
I make the assumption of like, I don't know. So that went on for years. And I didn't know what a Bigfoot was. I didn't know what Sasquatch was back then. Like, come on. We didn't have like the internet. We weren't talking about it. On the reservation, we talked about the whistle man. I didn't know what the whistle man was. It was just stay out of the woods at night because the whistle man will come and get you. I didn't know what the whistle man was.
Now that's interesting as hell, Casey. What did they tell you? What was the whistle man? What did they tell you?
Well, nobody ever told me when I was a kid. I mean, now we talk about it, and I ask some of the elders, what the whistle man is, and it's the hairy man out in the forest, and they have all these different names, but that's what I knew of when I was growing up, was just the whistle man, and not going out at night because the whistle man. But now I know the whistle man is a Sasquatch. So I mean, for years I didn't really put two and two together, and like I said, we didn't know. And when I started,
No, Nana Boss is asking real quick, are you Native American, Casey?
I'm not. Actually, my mom's Hispanic and my dad is a white man with blue eyes and blonde hair. But we moved out there because my parents bought a house out there. I lived in Newport, and so they found a house outside of the Indian reservation out in the forest out there. And so that's where I was raised, and that's where I went to school, was Slutz Elementary. So, an Indian school, and grew up with natives and stuff. And that's kind of my culture, because that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
They're all my friends. I still go home all the time and stuff.
So, does anything else happen at a young age that you can remember?
Not so much. I mean, just little stuff like that. My dad, finding, flat spots in the field, which could have been deer or whatever, but just little things here and there. And, sometimes he said that he would smell something really pungent down at the creek, and he would freak out. He'd be like, "There's tweakers up the road, and they're throwing all their, meth stuff in the creek, and it's making it smells like cat urine or something, really, to go on about it." And I'm like,
I think I would love your dad. I've actually talked to your dad on the phone. I talked to him for like an hour.
I think you did. I got his
I've still got his number because he's had some UFO stuff happen. He's a big UFO guy, and we were going to get him to come on. I still might. I need to reach back out to him, but he was a character, man. But I think I would love your dad, because now you got all the stuff with the ghillie suit and everything. Now you got tweakers throwing their excess stuff in the pond, and that's what's making the smell.
It sounds like I heard he would say, "Oh my gosh." Okay, yeah. So yeah, we had grew up like that. and he said right down the road, that's where he saw a huge UFO hovering over a house, and that is something that he's talked about a lot. Really freaked him out, and he said this thing was enormous, and it was hovering over a house. And so that was during the time when I was growing up. I think the next time I was having experiences was when Landon and I were camping with the kids. And
that's an awesome story. Yeah, share that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So my former husband that passed away, he and I used to, when our kids were little, we would take them out camping all the time. And we went to a lake that's really desolate, no motorized vehicles in or around the lake. And we would hike in and hang out for a few days. And there's been a ton of sightings out there and encounters. That's how I kind of found out about them, was like researching after this one camping trip. But we had a big tent, a dome-shaped tent, and we didn't have the rainfly on it because he really liked to look at the stars with the kids at night. And it stood 6 foot tall at the top. And I got that tent on purpose because we got married in the out at Whitehorse Park, which is a campground on the river. And I wanted to be able to walk around and stand up and stuff and do my business in there while I was getting ready. So that's how I know how tall it was. Anyways, I woke up in the morning and he was like telling me, "Casey, I saw a face peering down at me in the tent last night, and I was like, peering down at you. And he was like, I was laying there, and I opened my eyes, and there was a face looking down at me. And I was like, thinking about it. I was like, well, like a face? He was like, I was like, was it a bear? He was like, no, it wasn't a bear. I was like, no, it wasn't a bear. And I was like, well, okay.
Y'all, that's what I call a drawers changing moment right there, because I would poop myself.
Yeah.
I mean, that tent, we've all seen the content you're talking about. It's a dome tent, 6 foot off the ground. I'm 6 foot tall. So that's what I usually, when I'm looking for a tent, I like to be able to stand up too. So that's about the height. So it's a dome. So it's like half a circle, and the center is 6 foot. So for a person or a thing to be looking down in it, how tall do they have to be? To be beside the tent, bent over and looking down in a 6 foot tent.
Yep. And I thought about that a lot, because I was like, well, what if it was a bear? It would probably fall over or some. I
Yeah,
mean,
it would fall on the tent.
so I thought of that, and I kept thinking about it, and I was like, what could that possibly be? Because I kept hearing like weird noises, and who is that saying hello? I
Oh.
kept hearing weird noises, and I go, what are all these, like, I remember going out there and camping by myself with the kids, and I went all, because Landon was working. He ended up joining me like a couple days later. But, this is the kind of place where, I saw 2 people in 3 days, and they were just 2 random hikers coming around, with their walking sticks. And I'm out there by myself with these kids. And I mean, they were little, they were in diapers. I mean, not Chloe was the oldest, but the 2 were in diapers. And when we did this a lot. And so yeah, I remember laying out there and snuggling with my shotgun, because I was listening to an animal come, really close by to me, and then I heard it in the water moving around, and I was like, what? I've had a fire all night. I've made a lot of noise. I always am like, really aware that there are, wild animals and predators about. So I try to make my presence known, especially when I'm with my kids. And so I thought it was really odd. There's been a couple times where I heard like one random tree knock or like a whistle, and I have to second guess, like, what was that? Was that a whistle? Okay, maybe it's somebody across the lake. Or, I try to kind of tune it out and be like, oh, well, maybe it's comforting knowing somebody else is kind of close by.
Yeah.
So really kind of talk myself out of being scared. Nowadays, I'm like, okay, well, prepare yourself. Something else is going to happen.
Yeah, you're out there all the time now, right?
Yeah, I always have been. But now I think, especially having all of my experiences with the Sasquatch people, I have gotten a lot more. I don't like the word obsessed, but I have gotten a lot more
Interested.
comfortable saying, I'm going out here, I'm going all the way out. Sure, I get freaked out sometimes, and I'll be like, why would I do this to myself? But then I'm like, it's all in your head. And then I just kind of try to talk myself out of, like, if, one of them was going to hurt me, they would have already done that by now. They don't try to scare me. I've never had any like screaming in my camp or anything like that. I think the scariest thing that's ever happened, which I thought was probably just a friendly move, because I was making little funny comments earlier, was that a snowball hit the tree in front of me. I was in front of a fire, and a snowball came hurling at the tree and hit the tree, and at like 10, 12 feet in the air. And So I think that was and Donald was there. So I think it was kind of just like we were making comments earlier, and Donald was taking snowballs and throwing them like as far as he could. And I was like, nobody better hit me with a snowball, you know? And I knew they were around. I was stuck out there for 5 days, and I knew I had gotten some pretty serious signals that I was not alone. And I was pretty desolate out there. There was a huge freak snowstorm, and I had gone out there to go camping, to go out to the Mossy Road, you know, put some stuff in the trees, say hi to the forest people. And yeah, I ended up out there for 5 days by myself and got stranded, and it was pretty magical. I heard like rock clacking. I woke up one morning and there was this like tall branch shoved in the ground outside the trailer I was sleeping in, and I found a 14-inch foot track out there in the snow. And yeah, the snowball thing happened. Just hearing like the hawks and the crows. Like I heard a crow at like 2 a.m., like real loud and clear. And I was like, well, I've never heard a crow at 2 a.m., but here we go.
Well, that brings up something interesting. Let's go ahead and ask you that. We all have heard that they have this ability to mimic things. Do you think that, or have you experienced that? Do you think that was a crow at 2 a.m.?
No, I think it was the female Sasquatch that I've interacted with. She is really, really good at mimicking birds, and I've heard her before. Now, talk about your like shit your pants moment. I was up the Mossy Road one time, and we were going up to leave some apples and some things, and soon as we like started getting up there, D was like, he looked right at me and he was like, they're here. And because sometimes we'll go up there and he'll be like, I don't feel anything, and he's like, they're here. And so I got a little bit nervous. Like I try to be as clear headed as possible when I go up there, but I did get a little nervous that day. Myself, I was feeling like really strong feelings of connection, and started walking up, and I was like, I am so thirsty. I'm gonna have a freaking heart attack. I am so nervous, and I didn't bring anything to drink, and I'm so thirsty. And we're taking these apples up there, and he goes, here, do you want an apple? And I was like, no, these are for Kiki. And so we go up there, and we're sitting there at the archway, and the archway underneath, she built me like a little structure under there. And so this is my first time seeing the structure. And we heard a whistle, like the clearest type of whistle you could ever imagine hearing, like crisp and clear and loud. And it was way up here. And then I look over to the right, and I heard something over here. And then I heard what sounded like a cross between like humming and static and like a bird melody. Like it was it lasted for like 10 seconds, which felt like a minute. But I was staring right at D, and I was like, did you bring your cell phone up here? And he was like, yeah, totally. I brought my cell phone up here, and it's ringing up here, even though A, we don't bring technology up here, and B, we don't have service up here. And I was like, dude, you're right. And I just, every hair on my body stood up, and it was just so close. And I was like, I got so like, I felt like the energy was so strong in me. I started tearing up, and I was like, like I said, every hair in my body was standing up, and it was just like the most intense experience I have ever had. And then we decided we're going to leave now, start walking down, and we heard this really loud snap as we were looking at these salmon berries up on the bushes. And I go, look at how the salmon berries are like cleanly picked off that high up. And I was like, that's insane. And they're so like kind of fragile, the stems, that I feel like a bird would have to be really tiny, and then you would see pieces of the berry still. And so we kept walking. We hear a snap up to the left, get down to the truck. And I'm like giggling and laughing. And I'm like, I was so scared, but that was so awesome. Oh my God. And then we get up to the truck. I'm going to get in my side of the truck. And he goes, what's that over there? And I look over and there's an apple sitting on my side on the ground right by the door. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, what if you dropped one? He goes, no. I counted 8 apples. I walked 8 apples up there and I put 8 apples in the stump. Like I just like in my mind, in my brain, just counted them each time. And he was like, there was 8 apples, 4 times 2. And I was like, okay. Well, I was like, thank you for the apple. It was pretty cool. That's the weekend too. I found this like funny, like stick that was trying to resemble a wind chime or something. Cause that's what I put in the little tree ornaments all the time. And I found one next to the river where I was camping. Pretty cool.
Now, what about vocalizations? Have you ever, outside of tree knocks and footsteps and stuff like that, have you heard whoops, screams, anything like that?
I have not heard anything screaming. I have heard, like, I heard woof one time, like it was a word. And I knew exactly what I was hearing when I heard it, just because I was like, that was no small animal. And so I heard that. I've heard the noise that I told you, that was the very like a humming, like bird chirping, like staticky, not of this world at all. Like it was really interesting. And then Sam Kitchen and I were actually camping not too long ago, and he got some interesting vocalizations on audio that he took, and it was very interesting, almost owl-like, but not. It really, I listened to it, he recorded it, and he was like, whoa. And I could hear him like saying like, whoa, this is okay. Casey just left. I had just left because I was like, listen, I know Sam wants to do his thing out here, but I don't really want to be scared. So if you could just leave all the fun stuff till later. He said it wasn't, 5 minutes after I left that all of these vocalizations started around the camp. And we were way out, like way out. And this is Northern California where we were at. I mean, we were, there was, in 3 days, I think we saw 2 people come through.
Now, what about, I know you talked about the snowball incident, but what about, because I'm trying to go through all of the classic signs that people experience when having encounters with Bigfoot. So I know you talked about the snowball. Have you had anything else thrown at you?
Thrown at me. Okay, so the snowball was definitely thrown at me. It was thrown at the tree, and it was to be like, you guys think you're so cute and funny, telling me, and well, let me think about this, because I've had some really interesting experiences. So let's see, recently, this is really recent too. I have been hanging out on some property here in Southern Oregon with a man friend of mine, and he has been a river guide for a lot of years, and he's a huge dude. He's 6'5". And he claims to not be scared of anything. He's like, I've been, face to face with bears plenty of times, and I've been in the woods my whole life. Nothing really scares me. And recently he's been like taking walks and hearing strange noises. He told me that he's taken a walk and he hears this. So hard to explain, because I've heard it 2 or 3 times on the property myself, and I'm like, what are we listening to? We're looking right at each other and we're hearing this. He says it sounds like a shrieking noise, and I'm more like on the verge of a different type of, I don't know what to even call it. But we're sitting there looking at each other, and he's like, I've lived here for a long time, and I've never heard anything like this here. And
you said it was like a shrieking noise?
yeah, he said it sounds like a shrieking noise. I would say it's kind of like a shrieking noise, but more like a I don't even want to attempt to make the noise, okay? But it's really interesting. And he said things have been being moved around the property. One night we were hanging out and having fun, giggling, laughing. My friend was there. We're all drinking a couple of drinks and enjoying, each other's company. And it's like 12 o'clock at night and something hit the window. And I'm like, there's an apple tree outside. And this is at the time the apples were on the ground. And, maybe something threw an apple, but we couldn't figure it out. But we kept taking walks, and he's like, I don't know, Casey, I think you're starting to get me to believe in Sasquatch. I don't know. I've never really thought about it. But then
That's funny.
and he called me and he told me, he goes, hey, I had this dream that I saw he goes, it was a very large upright creature, and what people would describe as a Sasquatch. And he said he just saw it momentarily, and he said it winked at me, and I was like, it winked at you? He was like, it looked at me and did kind of a side smile and winked at me. And I was like, what? So after that, that's when things really started picking up, and I was actually on the property when his dogs went tearing off up the trail on the back property. So his property is I don't know, 5 or 8 acres. And then that is bordering 80 acres of BLM land. So it's all forest. And what else I think is really interesting about that is that there's no bear activity, and we're in bear country. So there's no bear activity. There's no bear scat. You see them digging in rotten logs and stuff. And you can see when there's been a bear around. I have walked all over that place, and I always am looking for little signs and signals of different animals. So anyway, he told me recently, and I saw it from my own 2 eyes. He has a motion sensor light up probably 14 feet up in a tree. And it's right next to his gate. And I saw it's on the ground right now, but something ripped it out of the tree and put it on the ground. Threw it on the ground, whatever, because he picked it up and moved it next to the tree. He was scratching his head, what? It's in anchors, 3 screws in anchors in the tree, and it's just on the ground now. And along with the activity he's having, noises he's hearing, now he had the dream. I think he told me he had 2 different dreams, and I'm like, yikes. I don't know.
Now, do you think it's possible, Casey, that since you've met him and got to know him and have been spending time there, that you're bringing them?
Yeah, this is kind of my thought process when sometimes this happens, when I make connections with people who are also sort of gifted, because he tells me that he has pretty deep dreams sometimes too, but probably just thinks of them like that. I've gotten a lot more in tune with my dream seeing, and so I think of it a lot differently. I see things that I remember very specifically, details, his uncle's been passed away for a long time, and I dreamt of his uncle being on the property. He unzipped a tent under the cedar tree outside and smiled at me and told me that he needed to clean his gutters. He was he had his hand up and he was standing next to the front door in my dream, and he was he needs to clean his gutters. And so today or yesterday, I was looking through, not yesterday, but a couple weeks ago, I was looking through his family album, and he flipped through the pictures, and I saw the guy. I was like, hey, I know that guy. And he was like, that's my uncle. He died a long time ago. And I was like, okay, well, he wants you to clean your gutters, apparently. So told me yesterday, he called me. He's like, I'm really frustrated. I've got this leak happening, blah, blah, blah. I got up on my roof, and it turned out my gutters are really clogged. So I cleaned them out and stuff. And I was like, well, when I told you this or that, and he was like, yeah, I remember. And I was like, that's pretty intense. I don't know, people might think I'm just a little nuts, whatever, but it's just really my experiences and I don't try to hide from it or whatever. I actually really feel like I embrace it and want to experience what I'm supposed to experience. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be.
I think the more that people come out with experiences like you have, Casey, I think more people will follow. It usually takes one to open the door.
Yeah.
One to walk through.
Yeah. That's how I've been feeling ever since my Sasquatch journey started. And I call it a journey because since the first dream I had when I saw Daru, since then, and I think this all started because I made that connection when we were camping with Landon. I made that connection when I was at my mom's property and I heard the woof. I kept making the connection, and then I started meeting people and talking about it. And that's how I've continued to have my connections with certain people. It's like, once you open a door, these beings know they are very spiritual and telepathic and psychic, and they know, and I mean they can enter your dreams and stuff, and so really interesting how much of a connection I've made with so many people since my journey started, and the dreams that I have. And I mean, I'll have a dream that I see Daru, and I'll be like surrounded in turkey feathers, like a whole circle of turkey feathers sticking out of the ground around me. And I'll go to my special spot and be hiking around and stuff. And lo and behold, I'm finding one turkey feather after another, and the bounty of like blessings and, thanks for recognizing what they're trying to show me. Like I'm trying to figure out, these are my friends. So, now Travis is having his experiences. He's all telling his friends, he's like, I think that I believe in Sasquatch now. It's so funny to hear him say it, too, because that's how he says it. He's like, I think I believe in Sasquatch now.
So just touch on, for those who are new, because Wayne and I know who you're talking about when you talk about Daru, but for those that are new in the chat, because it's coming up in the chat room,
Right.
Can you explain who that is?
Oh, Da is he's my, I don't know, my friend. He's been showing up in my dreams for a really long time, and well, not a really long time. It's been like 3 or 4 years. I think my first dream was in 2020, where he showed up and he made a really big noise, a loud crack, and sounded like his shotgun. Almost the sound of this tree cracking, and then I turned around and I saw this Sasquatch with red hair coming down out of a tree. He was climbing down out of a tree, and he looked right at me, and I looked right at him. I was across the river from him in my dream, and he just, there he was, and he looked right at me, and that was the time I saw him. And since then, I've learned his name. I learned that he calls me Tootie Lee. I have seen him, I've seen him quite a bit now. And along with him, I see other animals. I see a cougar a lot. I've seen the cougar in real life. Along with like footprints, and I've got some pretty amazing photos of fingerprints and footprints and stuff. But I've seen an owl, snowy owl, and just a lot of activity with him, and he's made it very clear that he's in my life. And even my daughter, my oldest daughter, she actually made a little piece of art, and she drew this Sasquatch because she told me she saw it in her dreams. And when she showed it to me, I was like, wow, red hair, gray skin. Okay. So he's been a part of my life. He visits me in my dreams where I can actually see him, and I've heard his voice multiple times, and to the point where I have seen where he's been around my camps and hikes and stuff his physical touch to this realm. And like I said, I've got some pretty cool photos that I've taken of, he put fingerprints all over my car one night, and I drove through it with his oily hands, apparently, because when I drove through the dirt, you could just see him plain as day all over one side of my car, the opposite side of where I was camped.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that just can't be explained.
And,
No.
almost have given up on trying to figure it out, and just like embraced it and welcomed it, and, laugh and giggle when I'm out and I hear noises and I'm like, wow, that was really scary. But like, how cool is that?
Like a roller coaster, scares the hell out of you while you're doing it. But once you get off of it, you're like, hell yeah, let's do it again.
Exactly. It feels like
Yeah, that's what Bigfooting is to me. There's been times I've been out in the woods and just been terrified, asking myself, why do I do this? Why do I choose to come out here and do this? And then the second I'm back at camp and I'm in my tent, I'm like, hell yes, that was awesome. Let's go do it again.
That's how I feel. I do it all the time. And then I'm like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? Like, I need to get out of here. And then I'm like, oh, this is so magical. I love it out here. And I hear some kind of vocalization or something. I'm like, whoa. It's a lot funner when you have somebody with you, even though that person cannot protect you. You're still like not by yourself. Because when you're by yourself and you have no option to not be by yourself, it's a whole other thing. I thought I was going to have a heart attack on the river when I heard the rocks clacking. And I'll tell you that I've taken a couple of rocks and tried to mimic the speed to which I heard the rocks clacking. And this is no easy feat. I was like, how does one clack rocks that fast? And I was like, it was really trippy. And hearing that, and then I thought I was going to have a attack. And I was like, okay, I know you're out there. I'm coming out. I'm going to come out. I'm facing you. And I did that for like 10 minutes, standing at the door. Okay, guys, can you hear me? I did go outside, though, I'll tell you. I did. Nobody was there. It was quiet and still. And I just think that they know and they care about me, so they don't try to scare me or, oh, here I am, right in front of your face. They'll do to me pretty much for the most part, and know that I have turned into this. I was never like this in the woods. Okay, I always was like, oh, nothing scares me in the woods. Yeah, right. Not anymore.
Now, I know last time you were on, Casey, if I remember right, you said that you weren't at the point where you wanted to see them physically or see Daru physically. Are you at that point now where you would entertain seeing him?
So here's this is a really, okay. So right after Landon passed away, it was Easter. We were going to go camping out in this area. And I was so excited. And this is before I had my trailer. So we were still in tents. And the night before we went out and went camping, I was looking in my dream, I was looking at a madrone tree, and madrones are like really like a dark reddish, color. And I was looking at this trunk of this tree. And then there was two, because madrone trees usually have multiple trunks, and so I'm looking at this other trunk. And I was like, well, that's an odd color, but it's like kind of like that color. But then I kept looking up and up and up and up and up. And then there was his face looking right at me. And I'm looking up at him and I'm like, well, now that wasn't so scary, was it? And he just kind of smiled at me. And then Landon showed up. And he was like, hey guys. And he was like, just like how he would normally be and chit chattering, like it was just another day. And he was like, God, you're so tall. I need a ladder to get up to you. And I remember him saying that. And then the next day, I woke up and I was like, whoa, whoa. And I'm going to go camping now. Alrighty. So I told myself, like, he's not trying to scare me. I've tried to send messages and relay like how I would like to see him for the first time. That seemed to be a pretty easy situation. Now, a lot of times when I see him in my dreams, he'll make a loud noise to get my attention from a little bit farther away, and then I'll turn my head, and then he'll like kind of emerge from the forest, and then I'll see him, and then I'll just watch him walk by or whatever he's going to do in the moment or whatever. And so it really doesn't scare me when I'm sleeping. But I was up in my special hiking spot where I find all the turkey feathers. I've heard some really weird noises out there. I've had some really weird experiences with the turkey feathers showing up out of nowhere when I'm walking. Like I'll take a path and then turn around and come back, and there's feathers. I found a bundle of 8 of them recently. Like I was walking around. I love finding turkey feathers. And I was like singing little songs, because this is serious bear country out here. So I don't want to startle any bears. So I was singing little songs, and I come around a corner and there's 8 turkey feathers, big, perfect black and white striped turkey feathers sticking out of the ground out of this like old like loggers chain. And I was like, whoa. So I hear this really loud noise. So I see this tree shaking, shake, 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 shake. And I'm like looking at this tree and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? And then I hear this loud crack, like a gunshot again, like really super loud. And I'm standing there looking in the direction and I'm going, there's no way a bear did that. There's no way. And I'm like standing there for a second and I'm just waiting for a moment before I just go, okay, I think I should retreat. I had my dog with me. It always freaks me out that my dog's going to run off and chase a bear or something because he thinks he's bigger than he is. And I don't know. I kind of freaked out, but I'm like, there's nobody up here. I've already walked around this area. I made a lot of noise. It can't be a bear. But I think that could have been my opportunity. I think that was an invitation of like, are you going to stay? Are you going to run off? And I kind of run off. So we'll try again some other day.
Yeah. All right. We are already over an hour in.
Oh my gosh.
But that's cool. That's our Saturday show, so we can do that. You got a shit ton of questions. You want to get to those?
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, first one is not a question. Again, thank you, Miss Nana Boss, for signing up and becoming a member. Appreciate that very much. Troy in Tennessee, can you imagine the calluses on Bigfoot's feet? I think that's for everybody. Yeah, I've thought about that. I don't know how many times.
I have too, and I've actually been told that they have some really rugged feet. I mean, you have to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you would think so. Neil Ryder, what's up, Neil? Glad to have you tonight. Do they communicate with you telepathically?
In my experience, awake, I have not experienced mind speak unless it's my own. Like I will like yesterday, there was this kid that I know from school, and I was like thinking about this kid like really, really hard for a moment, and then I walked around the corner and he was walking towards me, and I mean it's kind of stuff like that. But I've never had them. I've had them speak telepathically to me when I'm sleeping. Like I can hear their voice, but I can't see their mouth moving, kind of deal.
Okay. Again from Neil, have you ever heard them talking to each other? That's a good question.
Not with words. Like I said, I heard that vocalization when I heard the whistle. So the whistle was up on the hill over here, and then over on the other side of me, I heard what I described as like a humming kind of bird song / static. I don't know if they were talking to each other or what was going on there. That was so.
Okay. Neil asked this one, but I think he asked it before you started talking. obviously the answer is yes. Have you ever had Bigfoot enter and communicate with your dreams? And that's your main way of interacting with them is through. And you don't call them dreams. What do you call them?
I call them drifts, DRIFTS, drifting. I don't feel like I'm like just, having a dream, and it's kind of I'm somewhere else and thing around and adventure style.
Okay. And Mr. Dizzle, everybody needs to dizzle. Do you ever smell him? Not to be disrespectful. He asked that when you were talking about Daru, and I also wanted to ask you about the smell. Have you ever experienced this smell that people talk about?
I've never smelled anything. I've never smelled anything that I would say was out of the ordinary. Myself, I have been told by Dee that they smell just really earthy. He says that it's kind of trippy. He kind of smells kind of flowery, like she smells clean. So whenever I've seen them in my drifting, they are very well groomed and clean beings. They're not by any means. I know that they get into the river and get and bathe and take care of themselves. I've actually, I know that they, do that.
Okay. And one more from Neil. Do you think the Bigfoot that was around with your friend was from your clan or different ones due to you being marked? Talking about D. Or maybe, I'm not sure.
What was
maybe Travis?
The Bigfoot that was around with your friend. So this has been a kind of a big question for me because I didn't know until he told me, well, what I saw was orange or like red colored. And I was like, okay. And I showed him the picture that Chloe drew and he was like, yeah, I saw something like that. And so that's not, but I have recently, and I think maybe he's around, maybe keeping an eye on me because there's been some kind of weird stuff happening lately with like my drifting where I think something is shape-shifting that is not a positive thing and trying to trick me. And like it was kind of happening to me last night and it's really weird. And I'm just trying to be more careful about strangers and stuff. So, but I think that it's him, but I did have a really weird dream about a black colored Sasquatch that was on his property. And when we saw something hauling ass up the hill on his property when the dogs were chasing it. And I'll tell you, like I said, there's no bear activity I've ever seen. And it was and Travis looked at me. He was like, whatever that was didn't have a tail and it was standing upright. And it was really fast. And I go, if it was a bear, the dogs would have treated it. Like it would have just climbed up into a tree, but it like disappeared. But it was black colored. And I really don't have a solid answer for that because I've never seen.
Yeah. All right. Tiffany, I'm going to let you handle these last because you have several marked from Crystal and one from Chris. And I don't know what y'all are talking about.
I know. I just like to keep things in the dark. These are conversations outside of our conversations. So I highlighted this one because Crystal Blevins and Chris Blaylock, they're really in tune to the spiritual side of things. So I had highlighted this one because you had started talking about Daru. And prior to that, she said, I saw a faint man walk behind her. And seconds later is when you were talking about your husband who had passed away. But then you started talking about Daru, and she's like, what if that's what I saw? Was not clear, but tall and broad. And Chris said, yes, it was. She saw the same exact thing that Crystal did at the same exact time.
Behind me?
Behind you, walking behind you. And she was like, What did she say?
That's chicken skin right there, y'all. Goosebumps.
No, I thought the chicken skin. Like when you said that, because I want to know when that was and look back on it, because at some point I kind of looked behind me because I was like, wait, was there a light that moved past me behind me? Because I thought I saw like out of the corner of my eye. Like I was like,
yeah, that I'm not sure. It was shortly before you started talking about when Landon had passed.
Crystal is asking right now, is there someone else in the house with you?
Yeah, I was getting there.
no, my son is in his bedroom and he's been in there with the door shut because I was like, don't be walking around out here. So he's out. He's off to my. I would have seen him come out. Like he's off to my. Like he's behind curtains. Like if he wanted to come out, he would have to move the curtains. Interesting that we bring that up though, you guys, because I just found this really cool lady. Her name is Sarah Red Crow, and she's a medium, a psychic medium, and my number is 4. Everything. I mean, I even had like an orb flying around with the number 4 inside of it. She charges $44.44 for 30 minutes to talk to her. I found her in one of these groups. So I was like, what? I have to talk to this lady. And I've never done that before, ever. Like I've never like paid for a medium or tried any of that. This woman described Landon to a T, and I had my milligauss reader like on, and it was just beep, 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 beep going off when we started talking about him. She described him to a T. She was like, I don't know, I'm thinking like 5'10", like under 6 feet and dark hair. And she described him to me and his personality and just really a lot of, that was a really good conversation. And so I've been talking to her, and he's been around. Landon's been around since that conversation, especially. Last night he was in my drifts really hard. So I've only got to see him a few times since he's passed on. I think maybe I'm too emotionally blocked, but he came through really strong last night, and I got to see him and give him a hug, and he wrote me a little love letter that I got to read that was really special. And I woke up and I was like, I wish I could remember what it said. I think he would say, like, for sure.
Why can't I have these dreams? My dreams don't make any kind of sense.
Honey, mine don't either. I dreamt during a nap that I was living in some house and my wall was broken out, and out pops this little 8-year-old boy, like covered in, that different colored powder paint. And he was in, like, I had to track his parents down and say, hey, your son's living in our wall. That's what I
creepy
dreamed.
as hell. What are you? Oh,
I don't know.
God, you need help.
It's got to mean something.
I'm weird. That's what it means.
That's it.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, that was all of the questions. Anything else you want to touch on, Casey? You got any more stories? We got time if you do.
Oh my gosh, I have so many fun stories. I just don't know where to start.
Well, you can always come back. Troy's already asked you to come back for a part 3 or a 4. So,
yeah.
It's weird, but crack an egg and leave in glass overnight.
What?
Interesting.
She said this is weird, but crack an egg and leave in the glass overnight.
Crack?
Clear glass.
But in water or just by itself?
Crystal? I'm assuming just by itself.
I think just by itself.
But what does that do?
We're waiting on her to tell us.
She's saying that she doesn't think that what was walking behind you was positive. That's why she was asking all the questions.
Oh.
So might not have been Landon.
I don't know, but I've had some weird activity the last, week or 2 weeks or something. And I'm like seriously having to be like some man in my dream last night. He was really weird, and he kept it was so weird. I was looking at this really big tree, and it was like hollowed out in some places, and there was this like glyphs and symbols all over it. And I was like,
you text me that earlier.
trying to like look at these glyphs and symbols. And then all of a sudden next to me, this dude appears out of nowhere, and he just like was all of a sudden right there. Like his movement was so weird. Like it wasn't human, but he looked human. And then he was like asking me to come with him, and he wanted to take me on a date. And I was like, I don't know about this. And I was like, oh, you smell really weird. And because he was like trying to get really close to me, and I was like, you smell really strongly like cigarettes, and I can't do that, so I'm gonna leave. And so I'm like, I'm trying to get in my car, and I'm like, bye. And he's like, wait, let me wash it off. And then he does this weird thing where his mouth opens like really big, and then he's like taking like his saliva and like wiping it all over his face. And I was like, I'm out of here, dude. It was so weird. I was like, what is this guy doing? But he like followed me around. And then all of a sudden I was like looking at these turkey feathers, and I was like, I love turkey feathers. And I was like, hey, but they're all muddy, and why is that one gray? And I was like, huh? And then these two scary ass dogs come running after me, and running up to me, and I was like, I cannot stand aggressive dogs. And I'm like, oh, get away from me. And then this dude appears, and I was like, get your dog away from me. And he's like, well, you're just making it worse being rude. And I was like, I don't care. He's being aggressive. Get it away. And then I looked at the guy, and I was like, you're that dude. And I was like, why are you following me? So yeah, there's been some really weird stuff happening. And Dee and I are like kind of on the lookout of like this weird like shapeshifter situation happening in our
That's
lives.
what Crystal just said. You have a shapeshifter.
That's exactly what Crystal said.
Okay, well, yes. I'm like, dude, I don't like the shape-shifting. And so I'm like, so I was like scared. I hope that they don't try to take on the image of Daru like in a dream to like trick and, you know, and stuff. And
is a shapeshifter the same as a skinwalker? Are they two different things?
I don't know anything about it. I just know that if I'm like seeing,
they're like Native American.
Well, the skinwalker, I think, is different than a shapeshifter. Skinwalkers can, you know, take on the form of an animal. Like an owl is popular, a deer is a popular one, that type of thing. But I think shapeshifting.
So they are different. Okay.
Yeah, I think shapeshifting is different.
Skinwalker is native, and they all just creep me right the hell out.
Yeah, I just negative in my life, and I'm like, get away from me, stop it. I just like my little lovely dreams, but unfortunately that doesn't always work like that. And I actually just was validated on a dream that I had 2 years ago. I wrote it down in complete detail, but I dreamt I was channeling. I was like in this person's head, and I watched an entire murder take place. Well, I was this person, and I was in front of these people. I was scared. I was anxious. I was feeling and hearing everything that this person went through. And then all of a sudden I was like, it was like everything went dark. And then I was in the like channeling the woman that was there. That was like a bad person. And I was watching them carry this guy's body out. And I remember it just like, oh, it looked mangled. I kept thinking cut. I saw bits of like blue and white fabric. And they were putting him in a muddy, shallow grave. And I remember being like thinking this chick is like, okay, I really didn't have anything to do with this. If I have to go to jail, it'll only be as an accessory. They're the ones doing this. I'm not doing anything. And she was just really anxious. And she was just like, whoa, dude. And then, but first I was him, and I saw this whole thing transpire. And I woke up in the morning. I was like, whoa. Whoa. And, you know, this is like 2 pages of journal entry for me describing what I saw, who I saw, what their voices sound like, and, you know, what was going on there. And they just, this has been a couple of years. Well, I guess it's been 3 years. I had the dream 2 years ago, but on Christmas Eve, they just started digging around and got the information, and this man was uncovered just right after Christmas. So,
Yeah, it's Crystal just asked, do you have any unsolved murders in your area? And that's what you're talking about right now.
this is the only one that I know for sure of what, like, I knew what I was looking at. There's been so many times where women have visited me in spirit and shown me what has happened to them. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're from. And I don't know what to do about it. I recently did see another really gory scene, and I kept hearing a certain location. It's Beverly Beach. I kept hearing Beverly Beach, Beverly Beach. And I was like, I know exactly where that is. It's like right outside of town there. And it just, I think I know who I was looking at. I think I know, but I don't know for sure. All I can do is, and I've had people say, you should tell the police and give them a, do the tip line. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I mean, I would have been pretty validated, I guess, at this point with this one, but I don't know if anybody's going to take me seriously, and I really don't want to. I don't know. I've just never done it. I wrote it all down, and I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, wow, this really sucks because it's scary. I mean, I have to feel those feelings and experience.
You could always do it anonymously, though.
Yeah, and I didn't live in the area either, like at the time, so at all. I can't really be like connected in any way. So I have thought about it because, these people lost their lives and they're coming to me, however they come to me, they see my light or whatever. And they're showing me like, hey, help me. Like, this is what happened. My death is unsolved. And like, maybe you are somebody that could help me. And I'm like, so
pick somebody else.
Something I could consider. I think it's, pretty big gift though, that if somebody trusts me.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility.
So, I mean, I come out and talk about stuff all the time, but I really, sometimes I have told people like, hey, your loved one came and visited me. I think that there was a message for you there. They wanted to say hello or whatever. And sometimes I'm received really kindly, and people believe what I have to say, especially if there's like details in there that they can relate to or understand or remember about their loved one. But sometimes people can approach me pretty harshly if they don't believe me, or they think that I'm being really insensitive and bringing up their loved one and stuff. So,
well, that's funny that you said that, because that was Crystal's concern when she had messaged me. She was like, I'm a worrywart. I don't want to offend her. And I'm like, well, it's my job to offend people. So I said, but she's not going to be offended. I was like, she's cool. So
yeah, I'm not offended. I don't know a whole lot about what happens to me, and I don't know why. And, it's been a lot of years. I think that I don't know. I have a special ability and connection in a certain way. I'm always so like envious of the women like Sarah Redcrow that can channel those spirits while she's awake and stuff. And I'm like, I have to go to sleep. And then usually, they come to me if they choose. I can't pick and choose, and I can't, so it's just a different kind of a gifting ability.
Yeah. All right. We're about an hour and a half in, so I'm going to let you get out of here, ma'am. I do want to thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with us tonight. I appreciate it.
Totally. This is my Saturday night. Hey.
Did you have anything you want to promote before you go?
Absolutely.
Well, I have been so busy. I moved around a bunch last year and just really emotionally distraught after, my special person died. And, but I'm starting to make a comeback, eat like a Sasquatch, foraged foods and infusions. That is my thing that I do. I love being in the wilderness, collecting medicines, roots and flowers and leaves and berries and all the things. Mushrooms especially is my number one favorite thing to do. And I create holistic vinegars and seasoning salts, and recently starting to do some cool little blended teas and stuff. And I use everything that I use. I hand forage. I'm out in the wilderness, like I said, a lot. And it's my thing that I like to do. This is my business. And my Sasquatch experiences go hand in hand. And so yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm on Facebook right now. I really I was doing stuff online, but it really cost so much money for me. I'm like, I was selling my little $10 jar of seasoning, and I'm only making a couple bucks if I sell it online. So I'm trying to find different ways to do it. I plan on going to Beachfoot this summer, and since I work for the school district now, I will be off all summer, and plan on traveling around to some events and stuff, and selling my products. If there's something that I advertise on my page, sometimes I'll do stuff online. I just really have had to kind of take a break and a pause from all that for a little bit, just because I was just feeling really kind of down and out. But I'm like I said, making a comeback, and I'm excited for working on some more stuff. Today I worked on a bunch of stuff. I made some capers this summer. I love capers, and so I made them with green elderberries and my own homemade vinegar, and they turned out pretty amazing. So I think I'm gonna do some more of that, and filled up a carboy of 5 gallons of wine with my elderberries and usnea and some different mushrooms. Pretty tasteless mushrooms, so they're just the medicine in the wine.
And for those of you that don't know, I'm sure Casey won't mind me saying this, that Casey is a breast cancer survivor, and she attributes a part of her getting over and beating the cancer to a lot of this holistic stuff that she goes out and forages and drink and consumes over the medicine that they tried to get her to take. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I was really being bullied into doing 12 rounds of dose-dense chemotherapy. I mean, the bullying was pretty real, and I refused. I said no. I kept researching. I did do some surgery and some radiation, and had my ovaries removed, but I said no to the chemo. And the last doctor I said no to said, well, that's fine. You'll be dead in 3 years anyways. And I was like, well, what? So here I am. It's been I think 6 years now. I've been in remission, and healthy, happy, and hopefully never go back there again. But now I have the tools, so I know what to do and how to take care of myself. And that's what I started doing this for, because I wanted to have an outlet to help other people, because I had so many followers when I was going through the cancer stuff, and I was like, I refuse. And all these women were following me, and I was like, look, we're going to do this and this and this. And so yeah, so I'm just just wanted to help out my fellow warriors out there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's awesome, ma'am. Thank you so much. And like I've said before, you have an open invitation to come back anytime and hang out. We enjoy having you in your chats.
Awesome. Same. Likewise. Had a great evening kicking back with you guys, and always look forward to conversations and talking about the strangeness, the high strangeness.
That's right. All right, ma'am. You enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll talk soon.
All right. Awesome. Bye, you guys. Night.
Bye. Love her.
Yeah, she's fun. Good stuff. Good questions. A lot of questions tonight. Had had some new faces or names in the chat. We appreciate that. Hope they subbed and they will be back. And
yeah, well, I know for sure one did.
Yeah, I saw that one of them said that they subbed, and I appreciate that. I just don't remember off the top of my head which one it was, but I appreciate it.
Yes.
You got anything before we get up out here?
No, that's what I was checking to see. What is today? What is today?
Today
Yes.
is Saturday.
The 4th, we have Tim Nicholson from, oh my goodness, Forever Investigating Beyond. I just had to, oh my goodness, it out.
Did you set him up? Because
I did set him up. I found him on TikTok, and
he's a ghost hunter, paranormal investigator.
He is. They have a Facebook. They have their own website. They have a TikTok, Insta. Yeah, so it'll be fun.
Can't wait. Should be fun. As Troy mentioned earlier, all you PO freaks out there, open bar over on Discord when we get off here.
And if you remember and you don't have access to it, reach out to us. We'll hook you up.
Yeah, please do that. If you want to do that right now, we'll get you the link. As I was saying, I don't know why I'm so damn sleepy. I'm extremely sleepy, but I'm going to stop by Discord and hang out for a little bit. But until we talk to y'all again, should be Tuesday. Y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.